What's good, y'all? Sixth Element of Hip Hop here. I'm your host, Reno Noir. We got a great show for you tonight. My homeboy Stu Dog is on the way in. And man, we had a great finale today with the X-Men season finale 97. It was crazy. We definitely gonna get into that. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. Oh, yes, sir. Welcome to the show, Corey. Yes, sir. Let's get it. And man, we had some cameos. Hey, watch out. We're gonna talk about that too. That was fun. Man, it was a lot of Easter eggs, you know what I'm saying? I'm not even calling Easter eggs. It was a lot of great foreshadowing for next season at the end of this show. Just a gang of stuff, man. We're gonna talk a little bit about Chris Pratt saying he's returning 100% as Star-Lord again and gonna be in the DCU as well with James Gunn. We're talking about Galactus, the coming of Galactus and the actor with which they have chosen, and how we feel about that. Yeah, some MCU stuff about Kang. I don't even want to talk about The Rock playing Apocalypse because I don't want to talk it into fruition, but we got to touch on it. Little word from Bo DeMeo, the creator of X-Men 97 tonight as well. We got some comic news about Magneto building his most powerful armor yet. Iron Man, sorry. Building his most powerful armor yet out of Magneto. Yeah, dude, it's a great show. When in the comics did they ever establish that Magneto could touch Rogue? Because as far as I know, it doesn't exist. Anybody can let me know if they ever saw that in a book. But Marvel's revealed 2 more X-Men series, guys. So not just X-Men 97. Yes, I know it's the finale. I'm fucking crushed, heartbroken. I wish that we had more of this show because it was so good. So good. But there are 2 other X-Men shows that they're announced. I don't care, dude. No X-Men comic or no X-Men cartoon. I know some people love some of those shows they had. They just didn't hit for me because they were cartoons. They were written as cartoons. They weren't like comics transformed into animation, which is what X-Men 97, X-Men the animated series originally was all about. In my opinion, that's what made it great. That's what made it beloved, was the fact that the shows were written, they were comic stories. They were straight from the comics. So they were not your average cartoon, writing and stuff like that. So this new show though, 97, and shout out to Bo DeMeo. He has definitely come up with his own stuff. It's not like directly comic stories just translated. But I love how they're incorporating them. Love how they're incorporating comics in the show. And that's always what it's all about. That's, in my opinion, that's what this X-Men show is all about. That's what makes it good. That's why we love it. Even if you didn't realize it, the reason why X-Men the animated series was so good is because they were comic stories. They were comics. They were written by comic writers. You know what I mean? They weren't just written by American cartoon writers, which, if you watch anime, you know the contrast. It's not the best. But anyway, X-Men 97, you know what I'm saying, had already set new standards for our expectations regarding shows that will come out of Marvel next. And today, the X-Men, the season finale was released, and it blew me away. It blew me the fuck away. It was phenomenal. I cannot like love it enough. It was so great. Like the only like I'm not even gonna say what could have made it better because that would diminish. No, it was fucking perfect. But X-Men 97 not only revived the respect that I'm not gonna say it revived it. It gave me some respect for Marvel animation because there is none. I have none. Marvel animation blows. DC animation, phenomenal. Bruce Timm, genius. He needs to do some Marvel shit. Marvel, like, wake up, guys. This is what, come on. This is what we need. Bruce Timm, come on, do some Marvel shit. Do some Marvel shit. But yeah, dude, I had no respect for Marvel comics or Marvel animation, Marvel cartoons until X-Men the animated series. That's just me. Take it or leave it. Love Marvel cartoons if you like. I have no problem with you on that. How do I think it will take them to bring out season 2? How long? That's a great question. We're gonna definitely get into that. Let's wait till Stu is ready. Stu is in the back getting his camera and things ready. But X-Men, yes, X-Men 97. This is the much needed revival for the newer generations, for the kids, for this generation to get a taste of X-Men. And it's a tough nut to crack. This is a tough crowd, especially Gen Z. They're big anime heads. Big on anime. And even X-Men, even this show does not stack up to an anime when you're talking about, quality animation and all the stuff. I mean, anime, that's their bread and butter. In Japan, anime is like they love that. They respect that as much as how we respect live action. Anime is that important in Japan. It's just as, if not more, way more important than live action. Like, that's their shit. So they put everything into it. It doesn't really compare. So when you have anime heads this generation who grew up on anime and then you show them a show like X-Men 97, they go, what? Ugh. It is what it is. I mean, you can't do nothing about it. It is what it is. Just society. It's the way shit's been done. But so in this X-Men 97 episode 10 review, we're going to talk about everything that made us fall in love with Marvel, with X-Men all over again. And, let's see if, you guys resonate with us or not. And Stu Dog is in the building. Stu's ready. What up? What up? Salute. What up? What up?
What up? What up? Salute.
Man, what an
Little
episode.
late, but it was for a good cause. But we'll talk about that later. But
Okay.
this episode, it was phenomenal, epic. The whole thing's been epic. The whole ride's been good.
Yeah,
I
man.
can't even lie, bro. The whole ride's been epic. I ain't gonna say this episode. I'm just
Yeah.
not disappointed with one episode. The pacing is good. The animation is good. The storytelling is phenomenal. They follow the comic.
Yes.
That's even more impressive. Um, I'm just blown away
That's
by it.
what
Like,
we love.
this is the best thing Disney's done since we got Disney
Slade,
Plus.
what up? Corey, what up? Yes, absolutely.
Since we got Disney Plus, we haven't gotten anything good. And Marvel's dying right now. But hopefully they take a page out of this X-Men 97 book and put it into the Marvel Cinematic book and then go from there. Because
That'd be great.
right now they're failing. They're failing. But X-Men
Yeah.
97 isn't. And I can't wait for the next season.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
hyped.
man. Season 2, they set it up beautifully, man. The setup for season 2. That's why I wore the Bishop shirt today. We're gonna get there. Bishop hasn't
Mhm.
been in the show yet, but boy, is he gonna be in season 2. The Ascani, y'all don't know about the Ascani. We're gonna tell you about that if you don't. Very cool, man. The Ascani is what's up. But yes, my favorite guy, Cable, and all of that. So we're gonna talk about the clan that raised Cable up, and um, there's a comic series out about Jean Grey and Cyclops and the Ascani in the future, and they're gonna take it straight from that. But first off, let me talk about the action sequences in this show. And all I can say is, God damn it, man. In all my years, I've never seen such well done sequences in an American animated show. And I do say, I make that distinction because, again, anime is on another level. We're not going to compare it to anime because you really can't and you shouldn't.
No,
Um,
no.
but
And like you were saying, anime in Japan is a big thing.
yeah.
It's actually part of their culture. The one thing about anime in Japan is, well, the Japanese look at anything cinematic. You have to have like a top notch. It has to be top notch, or they won't watch it. So like the Japanese love stories. They love deep
Mhm.
rooted, jaw dropping. They love that cinematic, back and forth. They love verbal action, and that's what
Yeah.
you call it for them. They love verbal action. Whereas Americans, we like physical action.
Right.
So when they bring an anime over here, they got to add action to it. Cause like if you ever watch Dragon Ball Z, you see they'll talk trash to each other. They'll talk
Yeah.
trash. They'll fight a little bit, then they'll talk trash. Then they'll fight. Then they'll
Mhm.
talk more trash, and then it'll end with them talking trash.
Oh yeah.
Well, when they bring it to America, they got to reverse that. They got to fight,
Yeah.
fight, 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 then talk trash, fight, 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 and it has to end like that.
Mhm.
And then because if it doesn't, the formula doesn't work like that over here. Japanese and the soap operas real heavy. Um,
Well,
Anime and to
the way
them,
that they
anime is like soap operas.
yeah, and the way they do an action sequence, since we're talking about action sequences, like you said, so in a Dragon Ball Z fight scene, there'll be a guy. He'll come in, shoot a laser in a guy's face, and blow his head off, and it takes all of a second. And you could just watch the sequence, and he would come in, zoop, boop, done. But that shit will last an entire episode because he'll come in and he'll think about everything he's been thinking about his entire life up until this moment and what brought him to this
Yep,
moment. And the
yep.
other guy's gonna do the same thing, and they're gonna talk and have this and then it's
And
a
then they
whole
talk
thing.
about it.
They're gonna
Right. They
talk
talk
about the
about it.
move that he's about to do, and this move that I'm about to do to you is gonna fuck you up in ways, and I learned it from the da da
Yeah.
da da da. They're gonna describe,
Mhm.
break the whole thing down, and it's
Or he'll
very
have to
much like
charge
you
it up.
said, yeah,
Right. Or he'll have to
verbal
charge like
verbal
I'll
action.
be like if it was me, I'll be like, Reno, I'm about to hit you with my special beam cannon, but I gotta
Right,
charge it up. And once it's
right.
at full power, I will obliterate you and everything around you, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. And then Reno
That's
would
right.
come back with something like, well, if you can get it off before I do it, but I too have a special move. They like that verbal back and forth. The Japanese love it.
Mhm.
They love it. In America, we'd be like, yo, hit him with it already. We'd be like, yo, do it. What you doing?
Hell
So
yeah.
it's yeah, with the difference of that, like when they bought a perfect example is Gotcha Man and G Force. Gotcha Man and G Force, all the characters look the same. They just have they had it when they bought Gotcha Man. Gotcha Man was such a big hit in Japan that they wanted to bring it to America. But when they bought it to America, they had to bring it as G Force or Battle of the Planets. And when
Mhm.
they bought it, they switched it all the way up. Like you gotta remember the Japanese they're into transgenders. Like none of that stuff bothers them. Cause Zoltar at the end of one of the episodes, they didn't know if it was Zoltar. They was like, yo, is Zoltar a woman? Like they ripped the mask off of Zoltar, and
Yeah.
then it was like this big flashy sequence of all these psychedelic lights, and you seen
Yeah,
a
well,
woman's hair,
the characters are
and
very androgynous. A lot of the male
yes, they're
characters are
very
very androgynous.
androgynous. Yes, yes, they're very androgynous, and that's just what they're into.
Wish they
Mhm.
could do their live action. Oh yeah, as far as Marvel, yeah,
Oh
man, I
yeah,
really do. I
yeah,
really wish
yeah.
Marvel could get it in. Slim
Slim
Jim
Jim
Longfoot,
Longfoot.
what up? What up?
What up?
Nor and Rad Marvel lost 600 mil this year. Woo! Yes, the
Woo!
Ascani is Cable's mom. Yeah, Ascani. Well, the Ascani
Really?
tribe. There's the tribe. They're called the Ascani tribe, and they're in like 3,600 years in the future and shit. And the Ascani tribe, they live out in like in the Mad Max, wasteland and shit. And they raised uh they raised Cable. Excuse me, they raised Cable. And yeah, like the one that actually raised Cable, because Cable got his biological mom, which is Madeline Pryor, the clone, and then Jean Grey is his de facto mom because she's the clone, and then the Scotty is the lady that raised him. So it's a whole thing. Bishop was in the first three. They did put Bishop in there, you're right. But they're gonna really dig into it for season two. Yes, Rachel Summers. Truly a masterpiece. With
Truly a
this, thanks to
masterpiece. Man.
Studio Mir has been cooking since Cora. Oh yeah,
That's true. That's true.
yeah, the what's it called? Greatest Space Out Robotech. X-Men has always been
Yep.
drama. Claremont laid the blueprint. Yes, sir. I wish they would bring in Hope. Yes, yes. Mom's name is Jen Ascani, right? Right.
Yeah, the mom's name. Yeah.
The head of the Ascani tribe. Yeah, yep. And she was in the finale, so she walked up in her cloak. But yeah, so back to the action sequences. Back in episode 9, we saw Jean Grey succumb to Cable's attacks. Like Cable was like blasting at her, and after he was presumed to be uh taken over by Sinister, and being controlled and shit. And we thought maybe Jean died, but in this episode, we get to see that she's up and alive, but not as Jean. She's rises from what she rises up as the Phoenix in such a fucking epic moment, dog. When she comes at the end, man, and just takes over Bastion. It's so epic, man. But she stripped Mr. Sinister of all his powers, put Bastion under the control. Well, she kind of had Bastion under control for some time. But the scene where she rises up as the Phoenix, man, I was just fucking, I was literally like yelling and shit at the TV. The animation, the echoing voice, and the bright yellow flames, and the Phoenix and all of that, man, it was super dope.
Yeah.
American animation at its finest. But yeah, another sequence that made me go bananas was the revival of Magneto. Bro,
Yeah.
Charles
Yeah.
takes
Remember they
over his
showed him patched
mind.
up. Remember they showed him.
Yeah,
Yeah. Remember they showed Magneto patched up. Wolverine. They
he
laid him on
take
the table.
yeah, and Charles goes into his mind, and they have like this session in the bar, the same bar where we saw in the movie. We saw in and it's in the comics, but we saw them meet in the movie, in the young X-Men, the young X-Men movie, First Class, and where they kind of meet in the bar back in the day where they're young and shit, and they come back to that bar, and he's trying to reach Eric and kind of get him back to well, he loses his mind, and but he wants to bring him back without before he fully loses his mind, and they both get sucked into the madness. But he takes control of Magneto's mind to save Earth from him, annihilating Earth, and instead of leaving him like a vegetable, because Xavier could have just went in, made a Magneto a vegetable, and called it a day, and that would have been the end of Magneto. But he's not going to do that. You know what I'm saying? He comes in, he wants to help his friend. Magneto's his brother, even if Magneto didn't know it at the time. Professor X, isn't gonna let that go. That's their brothers. They got too much history, and that sequence, I think, is X reminding Eric about the good that he has in him. He's not a villain. We know that. And then, like, with this burst of blue light, the sky, he rises to the sky, and he's like, Magneto lives, and it's fucking epic, bro. And I shit you not, bro. I fucking, the goosebumps. It was phenomenal. um I can't say it enough. Yes, I'm gonna tell y'all about the Ascani for sure. For sure, Cable was raging against stepmom. He's definitely a millennial Gen Z. Oh yeah, you guys were right about Jean Grey. Was going to use Phoenix. Yes, sir. Animation of the brain wipe was amazing, and they used the shots from Fatal Attractions. Perfect. Fucking dope. That's what I'm talking about, man. Coming out the comics, we saw Mr. Sinister's old Mutie. That was crazy. Because yeah, Mr. Sinister is an old guy, bro. He's like, probably 100 years old or whatever. He's from like, the Victorian era or some shit. And he's been taking on, mutant abilities and DNA through their DNA. He's not a mutant. He's actually just like a mad scientist that tortured mutants and shit and did experiments. He's like the Mengele of mutants. And so he and it's funny because in the new comics, in the current Krakoa comics, after the Dawn of X stuff, they kind of make fun of Mr. Sinister. They redesigned his character, and they make him this real flamboyant, kind of like almost like a fashion designer kind of guy. He's very flamboyant. He's very concerned with his looks and all this. He's a very, I'm just going to keep using that word flamboyant as not to offend anybody. But he basically, they kind of are playing on the fact that he used all those abilities to keep himself young and looking, not old and shit, and not aging and all of that. So they took that power when when the Phoenix took all the mutant DNA out of him, he was just his real old self, and he shrunk down.
The crazy part. He ran up on the Phoenix like he was gonna do something. He ran up on the Phoenix
Yeah,
like, yo. I
yeah, he
was like,
did.
is he stupid? Like he ran up
Yeah,
like, yeah, like I'm Mr. Sinister. What you? I was like, oh,
yeah,
shit.
he
Well, I
didn't know.
got something for you.
He didn't know.
I see, I see, because he
Yeah,
walked up on Phoenix like what you like? You ain't got nothing. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
yeah,
There was some
Apocalypse all of a sudden.
vampire. It was some vampire shit involved with the teeth and all of that, and something to do with
Oh,
that.
for
I
Mr.
don't
Sinister.
I don't know it. Yeah, I don't know exactly. This man,
How does he take the DNA? Like, what does he do? Like, does he just capture them and steal their DNA? How did he
yeah,
even get Jean Grey's DNA? That's what I want to know. How did he get her DNA?
he captures them. He captures them. I'm not sure, man. Raw Talk should be in here so soon, but he captures them. Yeah, he was just a guy, a scientist. He captures them, tortures them. Takes their DNA, whatever he has to do to them, does experiments on them, and all of that. And yeah, it don't make no damn sense, man. Sinister always has clones like Doom. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that was a clone per
Of
se. I
himself,
don't know.
of himself, or clones of other people.
Of himself.
Okay,
Of
all right.
himself and other people. I mean, he's a geneticist. That's what Mr. Sinister is. He's an evil geneticist. He's an
Yeah,
evil
because I never
scientist.
listen. I'm
That's what he
keeping it a
does.
buck. I never knew much about Mr. Sinister. I know
Yeah,
who he is. I know what
yeah.
he does, but like, I always thought he had like some strange. Like, what is it? So he has no mutant powers.
Mm, mm, hmm. He has mutant powers, but he's not a mutant. That's the
No, no,
thing.
that's what I'm saying. Like, no, that's what I'm saying. Like,
He
he
takes
wasn't
their
born a mutant like
DNA. No,
Wolverine
he's
or
not. Yeah,
Xavier. So he's just
no,
a regular guy that stole mutant powers, and then
mm-hmm.
he uses them to his advantage. Okay, all
Mm,
right, all right. Because I always wondered what was the big thing about Mr. Sinister. I was like, yo, why can't they never like Mr. Sinister be giving out work? Like I thought he was a mutant
yeah,
just like them. Yeah, but it's
yeah.
not. Oh, okay. That was funny when Morph morphed into his face. He was like, "Show me my face." And Morph
Show me
was
my
like,
face.
"Yeah." Morph was like, "Here you go." It's
You
like,
were
yeah,
fucked
it's the
up.
same ugly mug. Yeah, he's the same ugly mug you always had. Yeah, and then he ran away. Yeah, that was crazy.
Okay,
And then
okay. Hold on,
Cable
hold
got
on.
his arm beat off. I mean, pulled
Rat,
off and got beat with the wet end.
is
His
that is that
mutant
right, Norrin
powers.
Rat? So Norrin Rat. See, I
Is
thought he was not a. I thought he was not a mutant. So he was a mutant. Is that a mutant genetic understanding? So maybe I guess he is a mutant. I don't know. I thought that he was. I thought he stole all the mutant abilities from mutants. But if his mutant
mm,
ability is genetic understanding,
understanding.
it makes sense. Kind of how
All right, because it's
Forge has
Like Forge has an
right
understanding of machines and building stuff
technology and shit.
without
Yeah,
like a plan. Like whatever Forge can imagine in his mind, he can build.
right.
Apocalypse Blue said, "Now he has super healing." I know,
Mhm.
yeah, right. Because I know he did. I know he worked with Apocalypse, but I didn't know to what extent. And I always know that
Yeah.
they like throughout the X Men comics, they always mention Mister Sinister. Like they always go, "Oh, Mister Sinister this," but I never knew
Mhm.
much about him. Never knew much about his powers or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
you think
And
next season we'll get Apocalypse or no?
oh yeah, we got Apocalypse at the end of this show.
That's
He
right.
was at the end. He was still in Saba. Oh shit. I think oh fuck. I don't have him anymore. Man, so there's a comic series. I'll grab an image of it so y'all can see. They took it right out of the comics. I loved it, man. I couldn't contain myself. But I do not have the comic anymore. It's a mini series, a 4-issue mini series about Apocalypse. Um, his whole origin, and it's they took that version of him from Rise. It's called Rise of Apocalypse. And that's the version we got to see in the end of this episode. So very excited about that because Rise of Apocalypse is a super dope Egyptian storyline where Apocalypse, before he's Apocalypse, how he becomes the god that we later would know as Apocalypse, born with the mutant X gene thousands of years ago in Aqaba. And he had the gray skin and the blue lips, and the he looked funky and all of that. Raw Talk, what up with the Alley Viper hoodie on? Salute.
What's going on? Peace, fellas.
Big
Peace.
dog,
What's
big dog.
going on,
Yeah,
man?
please, please.
I'm
Yeah,
just breaking
Please,
down
please.
the Rise of Apocalypse mini series because we got Apocalypse as in Savanor at the end of this finale. Um,
yeah. They putting everything together. They putting Apocalypse. They putting the Phoenix. I knew the Phoenix was coming.
Phoenix.
It had
Yep.
it had to happen, and
Yep. And we might get Onslaught in season 2, but I'm gonna break that down in a minute.
mhm.
Yeah, so it's a lot of cool shit going on. But the Rise of Apocalypse comics miniseries, like I said, it's just him, his people abandon him because he looks crazy, he's gray and blue lips and the whole thing, and he's rescued by Baal, which is of the Sandstormers, who sees the potential in him and his will to survive. And Baal names him En Sabanur,
Mhm.
which Marvel translates as the first one. So he's the first mutant, right? And the Sandstormers live by the credo of survival of the fittest, believing that those who are strong enough to survive hardship and direct conflict are worthy to be alive. And it's also revealed during the Apocalypse Wars that as a young boy, En Sabanor is very generous and selfless, to the chagrin of Baal and a time displaced Ivan and Sabanor, and the all new X-Men Beast try to come back and save En Sabanor, but he allows himself to be captured to help them escape. But around this time, the time traveler Kang the Conqueror comes into Egypt, assumes the identity of the pharaoh Rama Tut. Knowing who En Sabanor is fated to become, because he's Kang, he knows that this guy is Apocalypse. He sends his general Ozymandias and an army to destroy the clan that took in Apocalypse and kill Apocalypse. And then Sabanor and Baal are injured and they seek refuge in a cave. And before he dies, Baal reveals an advanced technology that's hidden in the cave, some alien technology that, so this all plays to the Egyptian connection to the aliens and the mutant. It's fucking, I love this storyline. And they find the alien tech in the cave and left behind by the deity aliens known as the Celestials. And all this lore, man. This is what I love about Marvel. Vowing revenge on Rama Tut, you have En Sabanor enters the pharaoh's city posing as a slave and then draws the romantic attention of Ozymandias, the general's sister, Nefri.
Mhm.
And then he sees the mutant's true appearance, the slave, and draws a romantic. And Nefri rejects him, right? And so, like, um, turns to her brother for protection, the general. And in Sabanor, he's heartbroken, and he rages because his mutant abilities fully emerge, and he's rampaging, and he renames himself Apocalypse. And Ramatut flees, and En Sabanor uses the celestial technology to transform his old tormentor Osmandius into a blind clairvoyant, made of living stone, sort of golem. And he's
Mhm.
enslaved to Apocalypse. And like as the years go by, Apocalypse finds that he hasn't aged. And then they reveal it in the Shield series that Apocalypse, at some point in the days of ancient Egypt, joined forces with the Brotherhood of the Shield to successfully fend off a brood invasion. And that's where Imhotep and a man who is either a moon god called Khonshu or the first Moon Knight, Avatar champion. It's a whole but so they can go anywhere with it. But yeah, if you do have the ability, or if you have the means, I highly recommend you pick one up. The Rise of Apocalypse miniseries. You can probably get it for a small. It's probably not expensive at all. You can probably get all 4 or 5 issues. I think it's 4, 5, 6 issues, something like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
But dope, super dope, super dope. That version of the character is who we saw over here. This guy, so that's how he looks in the comic, in the Rise of Apocalypse, when he's still En Sabanor. So at the end of this episode, the X-Men, walk up and they see Apocalypse there, introducing himself as En Sabanor. But I mean, all through this episode, you got cameos. You got Black Panther popping up. Reed Richards just kind of zips by, and I didn't even. I was like, how the fuck did Reed Richards get right there? But Captain America and Iron Man, they're chilling there, and with the president and shit, because that's the heroes that they are. I mean, people need to You understand that those are the government guys. Those are the company men. Daredevil is in the streets. He's in the alleyways. Spider-Man is there with Mary Jane, walking up in New York City, looking at the TVs in the window. Doctor Strange is doing surgery and shit like that. Silver Samurai is peeping shit. So this is the second time they've showed Silver Samurai. So I'm sure we're gonna get Wolverine going to Japan probably in season 2 and doing his Japan thing. And he's got the bone claws. So, but yeah, at the very end, we sort of just see them in their quick cameos like that. But obviously, you know, we didn't get to see any of them in action, you know, whatsoever. But you know, the detail does put forward by Marvel to let us know that the MCU has sort of merged with the X-Men, because you've got, you know, all these characters coming together, and you know, they obviously are doing Deadpool and Wolverine, and we'll get to see Marvel as a whole on screen, which should be like watching, you know, it should be like watching comic books in live action. That's what we expect. That's what we want.
Or an
But
amalgamation of the different stories intertwined.
exactly. And you know, as we expected, this episode ended with the massive cliffhanger for season 2. It sets it up, I think, beautifully. By the end of the series, we got to see, after the asteroid M exploded, the X-Men are presumed dead, and you know, of course, you know, obviously they're not going to be dead, but what's going on? Where the fuck are they? What happened? Forge is not, you know, he's refusing to believe that, you know, they're dead, and he's, you know, down in his fucking, you know, lab, you know, trying to find them, and you know, you can see he's working away at it, and Bishop walks in, and you know, Forge is like, you know, they sort of meet for the first time, and you know, obviously Bishop already knows who he is and shit, but yeah, he's like, you know, this is going on, we gotta head to the future, and you know, they take off, and then the scene shifts, and we see that Rogue, Nightcrawler, Magneto, Beast, Professor X, they've all been teleported to ancient Egypt. And you know, that's where we see, you know, they see this mutant being attacked by some soldiers, and the X-Men, you know, help fight off the soldiers. And Magneto says, who is he? Who is this guy? And he says, my name is Saba. And obviously that's Apocalypse. And now, since Magneto has removed Wolverine's adamantium, this could, you know, be like a season 2 showing us that the Apocalypse restoring Wolverine's adamantium, because that's how he does get it back in the comics. And then another plot line that I'm really hoping that they explore, that they did not really explore in the first series. We did Apocalypse. Apocalypse was all over the first show, but we never had no Onslaught. At least I don't remember.
Right.
Now with the Apocalypse, that's what's puzzling. Like, if we're going towards Apocalypse, that already happened because Forge sent back Bishop.
Right.
So it's like, are we going into a circle again? We're going in timeline. Is something tripping up that timeline? So I think that might be the thing.
Yep.
Something might trip up that timeline.
That's what I think. I think something, you know, it's the multiverse, you know, it's the timelines, it's the whole thing. So, you know, that's the beauty of time travel and science fiction. They can always make up new shit at any point, and just, you know, and it makes sense. But you know, I think them exploring the origin of Onslaught is a very cool idea, because I haven't seen that really in animation done too well. But the way Charles Xavier tapped into Magneto's mind is the very reason why Onslaught is born in the comics. And Magneto and Charles, they were in, you know, Charles was in there in his mind and shit, and you know, they were, you know, in danger of you know, both losing their minds, and Charles getting sucked in as well, and you know, this is all very reminiscent of like how Onslaught's created, because Onslaught is just the mental, it's the dark side of Charles and the dark side of Magneto, like their mental manifested into this being. It's crazy. It's super dope. It's a great storyline in the comics, and I think it'll be very, very cool in this show. And it seems like they're kind of setting that up. That's definitely the vibes I got. That's where I think it's going.
That would be dope if they do.
Yeah, hell yeah, yes. Um, so, but like the if we follow the events, if we follow the comics, right, the events of 1993, Fatal Attraction, like Slim Jim Longfoot brought up earlier, should lead to X-Men 97's Endgame villain. Tolerance is Extinction Part 2, beautifully adapted the source material, even including the iconic moment of Magneto pulling the adamantium off the skeleton of Wolverine, and we talked about that, the other day, last show. And this happens like shot for shot in Fatal Attraction in the comics. I showed you guys the page, and in its aftermath, and Charles Xavier uses his powers to render Magneto sort of catatonic, and Professor X inadvertently bonds the darker aspects of Magneto's psyche with his own repressed thoughts, creating the entity known as Onslaught. And it's looking that way. Now, either way, comic book Onslaught teaches itself how to manifest a physical body, and it sets out on a mission to exterminate humans and mutants. And it's unlikely that we'll introduce and defeat Onslaught in just one episode. That's definitely an overarching episode, at least a 3-parter, at least. But I think it's possible he'll be the big bad in the end of season 2. And if we continue to follow the comics, Onslaught's introduction can neatly reintroduce the Fantastic Four of the 1994's Fantastic Four, the animated series.
Yeah,
because we're bringing all the animated series back, and
I think it's gonna be dope. I mean, we just gotta. Well, I'd say they're on the right path, even if they switch up certain things a little bit. They make it seem like it belongs anyway. So that's the perfect thing about this series now. Like, we all had our doubts in the beginning and stuff like that, controversy on Morph and all that. But at the end of the day, they're doing the right thing. This is the only series really that they've done right.
Correctly. Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, kudos to them for that, definitely.
Hell yeah. And all the cameos and shit that we've seen in season 1, I think are setting up, stage for an animated Ultimatum, version adaptation of Ultimatum. We already covered how the series has been queuing all the all-star crossover and with the cameos, and episode 9 bringing Hulk into the joint, and obviously through Morph's transformation.
Yeah, that was my favorite thing. When I seen the Hulk, I was like, oh.
Ooh, yeah, but which is another key player of Ultimatum is waiting in the wings. Season 1 is stacked with death, while the latest cliffhanger has teased the potential demise of the clan, of the crew of Jean and Wolverine and Magneto. And we don't see Ultimatum deaths like Beast or Nightcrawler also being squeezed into the finale. But in terms of Magneto returning to the all-out villain that we remember from the X-Men the animated series, it seems like we were headed that way, and then now it maybe seems like I don't know, but it might be going Onslaught, so we'll see what happens there. But as it stands, I think it feels like it might be going toward a nod toward Ultimatum, rather than try to adapt the whole thing, and that's what this show does well. It does like take aspects of comic stories and it might mix it up, might change some characters. It's not like beat for beat. They do it to mix it in to fit it, but they do it in a way that I think really feels like I'm looking at a comic, man. It really reminds me, or just really feels like the way a comic book story is told, versus the way most American cartoons are told. Because there's a big difference in the way shit's written. And more likely we'd see the 2009 comic book crossover play out in some far off live action MCU movie when the X-Men and the Fantastic Four eventually arrive, on the screen, on the big screen. But we have Gambit, with if comic books have taught us anything, it's that death is never permanent. and Gambit, dying in Remember It. I think if they leave it as is, I mean, it does definitely define the show, for doing that, and but I think, Apocalypse is going to come back and bring his four horsemen, and Gambit being Archangel, or not Archangel, the Apocalypse Death, Horseman Death rather, and
Yeah.
that would be, fit into the comics, and so, you know, it's a theory. They did add Apocalypse to its, to its roster now, and you know, when Gambit supposedly died in episode 5, and so it kind of, tied the two together. And in terms of like the other horsemen, the credits happen to feature Polaris, who is Pestilence in the comics, and but some people think Madeline Pryor isn't gone, but Mystique we still haven't seen, and the reveal that Bastion had been there the entire time, I think, was one of the biggest shockers, especially since Val Cooper was by his side the whole time. Episode 8 seemingly disproved the popular theory that Cooper was Mystique in disguise, but there were it seemed like she had helped free Magneto, and she never, revealed herself. But I think a lot of people kind of written off the Val Mystique reveal because it would have happened by now. But, she seemingly missed the perfect opportunity to come clean to Magneto. But
Mm.
a lot of people are still convinced that Mystique is out there, either as Val or someone else that we've already seen. Someone close to home.
President.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible
Was
too.
as on before.
She has. And Nightcrawler has mentioned her, being his mom, so she's been mentioned. I'm really excited about the other shows too coming, like Spider-Man 98. We always hoped that X-Men 97 would sort of reignite Marvel's animated universe of the 90s, because it was the best. It was the only era, man, that Marvel animation was halfway decent to me. But it was super quick and came and went. But I think the success of this show shows that there's definitely a market for those old shows to be revived. And Spider-Man the animated series I think is my second favorite of the Marvel shows. And the head writer Bo DeMayo confirmed that the Spider-Man that we see in this X-Men show is the same one voiced by Christopher Daniel Barnes in X-Men Spider-Man the animated series. So, and we already know that
back.
that's what they're
Back.
that's it. Yes. That's what they're talking
Or the
about.
Fantastic Four, or the Fantastic Four card, but that wasn't too.
All of them.
Fantastic Four, yeah. The '90s, Iron Man was okay. Fantastic Four was Spider-Man was good. Spider-Man was really good. And they did another one. There was somebody else they did. I think it was Hulk. Hulk had a '90s one too. Around the time X-Men came out.
Yeah. The only one I
The one
watched
you
was
can,
X-Men, Spider-Man.
and I liked it. The Incredible Hulk. That was the one that came on after Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. That one was good, but
Mhm.
they don't even have that on Disney Plus. But they have Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends on there.
Mm.
So like that's the one I'm never gonna understand why maybe they don't have the rights to it, or maybe Universal because they got the rights to the Hulk. Maybe
Yeah.
that's why.
Yeah.
I can't even find those. I can't even find those on DVD. Like,
Yeah.
I've been looking.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, and that I would love to see Hulk and Wolverine, man. That needs to happen too. But
That would be dope.
I have a sneaky suspicion with the Deadpool movie, we're going to see the Hulk in that movie. I think
so.
I think we may see him in a movie fighting Wolverine. Something's telling me that might
That'd
pop
be
off.
crazy.
You
That'd
know what
be
I'm saying?
crazy.
That would be a real good, just
If
an
they do,
fan,
yeah.
you
If
know.
they do that, I want the one where he rips Wolverine in half. That's the illest. That's the favorite. That's the favorite. If you haven't seen that, y'all, they even did a motion comic of it, like a cartoon, like a sort of animated version of it.
Not Wolverine. You talking about Deadpool?
No, talking about Hulk, where he rips Wolverine in half at the waist. It's I think it's the Ultimate Universe.
Ultimate.
Yeah,
It's
Oh,
the
I think
ultimate
so.
one, yeah. I remember they
Yeah.
started writing it, and then
Well,
they
there's an
paused it for
animated
like
version.
almost a year, and then they
mm,
came back out with.
Yeah,
I don't understand how you could
Hulk
rip.
is up in the Himalayas, and he's like sitting like he's like a king. He's
Yeah, he's got all
just
these
like
girls
chicks
around him.
all around him. And he's just like sitting up
Yeah,
there with like beads on his neck, and he's just just
yeah.
pimping, right? And yeah, Wolverine like is like hunting him, and he finally gets to him, and yeah, Hulk just kind of tears him in half and throws him. But he obviously puts
that's
himself
the
back
Hulk, man.
together, the whole thing. But yeah,
I don't understand how he could. I don't understand how he could rip him apart if he's made out of if his skeleton is laced with adamantium. I don't understand how he could have ripped him apart.
the Hulk.
Yeah, the Hulk
It's
can
the Hulk.
destroy anything and everything.
Yeah, but
It's the
isn't
Hulk.
antimanium isn't adamantium supposed to be like the strongest metal in the Marvel universe?
Hulk is
Vibranium
Hulk,
is, but
Vib-
yeah, it is. It is up there. I mean, yeah, I think it's vibranium, then adamantium, but
but the Hulk is
it's the Hulk.
so powerful, man.
No, I
Yeah,
get it. I get. Listen, I
I
get it,
mean,
and I'm a big
Maestro,
fan of the Hulk.
Maestro
Yeah,
destroys everybody.
Maestro. Yeah,
Woo!
yeah,
Maestro, boy.
He destroys
Oh,
yeah,
everybody. That's why I
Maestro is
love the
the
Hulk, man.
dude. Yeah, bro.
yeah. Because
Hulk
I'm a
is
big
no
fan of the
joke.
Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
Maestro.
Hulk has a special place in this house. All my
Oh, hell
boys
yeah.
love Hulk.
Yeah.
Remember that Maestro Virgin
Yeah,
variant I
Maestro.
had? That
I
shit was
actually
good.
have days. What is it? What was it called? Future Imperfect. I actually have
Perfect.
that
Oh,
comic. The original. It wasn't. It was like a 60-page. I can't even say it was. What do they call it? A trade paperback. It was like a.
Mhm.
yeah.
Originally, it came out. I actually have those. And when the Hulk woke up in the future, he was like, "What's going on?" When he met Maestro, Maestro beat him down. He was like, "Oh yeah, I know all
Mhm.
your moves before you go and do them." Gave him work, and then had trophies. Like he had his chariot, and he had like Captain America's shield. He had like Daredevil's nunchuck. Like he had something from every hero that he beat
And
on his
kill.
chariot, just hanging on his chariot and killed. And he told him, "I killed everybody." Like I did Doom. He had like Doom's helmet, face
They
mask
have
on
a
his dress.
statue
Like
out
he's
now.
like, yeah,
They have a
Mhm.
statue out now with that. With him on his throne of the Sentinel throne. He has
Mhm.
got everybody's all the Avengers, mutants, everybody's parts and weapons. Yo, it's crazy. He even
Yep.
beat Venom and Carnage. So yo,
Yep.
he beat everybody. It was nobody he could. The fact that whatever happened on Earth nuclear wise, it made him stronger.
yep.
So he
The
was
gamma
just he was
rays.
like, yeah, the gamma rays made him even more potent. So he just was like, you know what, I got y'all.
Yeah.
David Banner gamma ray shots. But yeah, the X-Men 90 X-Men 97 one season 1 has come to a close, and an epic finale contains a blink and you'll miss it moment that confirms what we've always thought to be true, that Peter and Mary Jane would find each other in any universe, because at the end of Spider-Man the animated series in 1998, on an all but satisfying cliffhanger, season 5, Peter Parker and Mary Jane finally get married, but it isn't the happy ending that Peter hoped for. In episode 8, Spidey learns that the MJ that he married, is a clone made from a drop of Hydro-Man engineered by mad scientist Miles Warren. And after Peter saves reality in episode 13, Madam Web, the animated old lady version, not the Dakota Johnson version.
Yeah, the
What
young
is that?
version, young Madam Web.
That doesn't even make sense. Promises to take him to Mary Jane, who fell into the portal during a battle with Green Goblin in season 3. But yes, in a quick half a second moment here in X-Men in episode 10. You see the news spreading around the world that the apocalypse is on the horizon, and the meteor, the asteroid M, is coming to blow up the Earth, and they get a brief cut to like a cracked TV displaying a news broadcast, and then you see Mary Jane and Peter standing there watching, which if you missed it, that's them. That's the Mary Jane and Peter from X-Men the animated series, or sorry, Spider-Man the animated series 98.
Yep.
Yeah, and we don't know when or how, but we know that Peter eventually found the real Mary Jane, and this means that Spider-Man that we briefly saw in another episode is indeed the same Spidey, which Bo DeMayo, the creator, already confirmed, but is indeed the same Spidey from the animated series, which makes perfect sense given that the two shows operate on the same timeline in the same universe and continuity. So it only makes sense for them to follow up with a Spider-Man show. So I don't think I have no doubt. Like, I have no doubt that the Spider-Man show is coming, y'all. None. I'm sure of it. So if you love that Spider-Man show, get ready, because they're gonna do another one. I don't know if it's gonna be, a year or two from now, but it's coming.
Yeah, I used to watch it after school. It was
Plus,
dope.
and plus, I mean, what's puzzling, and we all know that, like, with the action figures that they have out for X-Men 97, they're fiending to drop the Spider-Man figures. That's slated. So, the show's coming.
Yep. Oh yeah, absolutely. And the Deadpool and Wolverine, fans, I think, are waiting to see how or if X-Men 97 will tie into the Deadpool Wolverine, because the way James Gunn is doing the DCU, everything is connected. I mean, animation, video games, movies, TV shows, it's all connected, same universe, same actors, everything. And so Marvel is probably going to do that and sort of tie it together with Deadpool and Wolverine somehow, especially after Patrick Stewart appeared in the cartoon in Xavier's yellow hover chair for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And then Deadpool and Wolverine trailer mentions how Logan failed his universe, leading to speculation about which version of Wolverine we're going to get. Is it going to be the old man Logan who killed his whole, killed the Marvel universe or whatever? And I kind of think that the Logan that this Deadpool is going to get is that Logan who killed everybody in the Marvel universe, is fucked up, and he's like the worst Logan ever. And that's who I think we're going to get in that movie. But that's just my little theory. But who's popping in here?
I think it's the Logan that we get after what is it? Days of Futures Past.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
Hey, what's going on, man?
What up?
It can't be any Logan from any of the movies because he's dead.
No. I mean, well,
he's dead. Logan died.
We're talking timelines. So if we're talking about timelines, it can be from any timeline, Logan.
Yeah.
Think about it, because one, he's not as old and gristled like the Logan one.
Yeah.
Logan, he was kind of, he was.
Oh yeah, no. He's definitely not old yet, but that universe where the dead Ant-Man is and all of that stuff, that's that post-apocalyptic wasteland. That's that old man Logan universe. But they're gonna be going through all different universes, so it's just a little fun theory. But there's probably they're probably gonna see multiple Wolverines in the movie. But as far as X-Men 97 connecting to the MCU live action stuff like that, or any sort of crossover, pointing out how the Genosha attack is an absolute point that can't be changed. After Cable's foreshadowing recall that Morph joked about, another dystopia where Logan's the last to die, and seeing that Wolverine comic book costume echoing Jackman's version in Deadpool and Wolverine, it's very convenient. And some clever trailer trickery is possibly showing him in the ruins of Genosha, As Bo DeMeo has promised big things for Wolverine and mentioned passing the baton to Ryan Reynolds, and this one might be that right on the money there. And the with Genosha and the arrival of Moira X, it was hard to keep track of who met their end in that massacre, but we were shocked to learn that that series mainstay Moira McTaggart was one of the casualties. And given Moira's importance in the comics, there's a potential that Moira X will be here for a sort of a fake out there. And following her death at the hands of Mystique, Moira was reintroduced as Moira X in House of X and Powers of X, where she basically,
yeah, because her main power is a power of reincarnation.
right. Every time she awakens in the womb, every time she dies, and she has this controversial revamp as Moira X, keeping her memories from her old life, and it gives her the ability to change things the next time around. And as well as forming the mutant nation of Krakoa, Moira X awakens Apocalypse from his slumber and launches the Apocalypse War. And it seems far too outlandish for X-Men 97. And when asked what's the worst way we could end season 1, this one guy said zooming in on Moira as she dies, resetting the timeline, and starting again for season 2 would ruin the otherwise near perfect series. So definitely not that same Moira.
I mean,
I love
with the writing that they're doing, they can do almost anything.
Oh yeah.
The writing is the same, on par, or even better.
Yeah.
They can do it. I mean, I'm down with it, man. I've
loved it, man. It reminds me so much of the feeling of the old series, and even brings it up a notch with how they can do so much, in such a time frame, and they could touch. It's just it's just the way they got it all like put together, man. It's the storyboards, how they're going about it. I mean, who saw Bastion coming? Because I damn sure didn't. Because my villains have always been the villains of old. Juggernaut, the Sentinels, Magneto. Just the normal people. Sabretooth. Who's thinking because a lot of, believe it or not, those comics, I've heard collectors, I'll be in the in the past buying books over the years, and they'd just be like, nah, those 90s ain't gonna be worth nothing, man. They even just a read ain't worth nothing. I'm just like,
look at it now.
Whatever, man, bro. I said, I don't know what the hell y'all own, man, but I've been collecting. I've been off and on collecting X-Men comics since about the mid '80s. And Raw, when I first met Raw and everybody, I had probably in the neighborhood of about 25 short boxes. Full of stuff. Had big X-Men keys. I had the first Claremont book, first Phoenix, first you name it, I had it. Silver Age, the first Sentinels. I think the earliest issue I had was issue 6, which is the first Kazar, Sabu, and the first appearance of the Savage Land.
Yeah. You said you saying had?
Yeah, I had. Yeah.
What happened?
I just got out of collecting them, man. Just I don't know. It's you gotta have a certain So my biggest thing was making sure they go, that they're okay, So I'm, it's a big thing, you gotta take care of them properly. A lot of people, do things wrong. You got to have them, obviously in a certain temperature. A lot of people don't think about, and the older the books get, and they're already old as hell. They're like going to fall and turn into dust almost. Talking about Silver Age, I had, those X-Men, 60s X-Men's I had, they had Marvel chipping on them. They wasn't terrible. They were actually some damn nice books. I had the first Master Mold. I mean, you know, this got, you know, it's all like I told Raw. It's always been in the back of my mind. You know, I want, you know, because X-Men, other than Master of the Universes and Turtles, was that those are the three things I can think of that grabbed me the most. You know, I spent the most time on, the most income on. You know, just everything. You know, emotionally, spiritually with it. And it got me collecting them back again. I mean, hell, I started with, I just had one short box. Now I don't know how many I done. I mean, hell, I just came back with some more, man. I can't. I knew they were going to tease Apocalypse at some point, and you know, between him and Cable Man, those. I mean, I've got other favorite characters in the X-Men universe, but it's Cable and Apocalypse, man. That's to me, that's the quintessential one-on-one, mano-a-mano. You know,
It's the
grab.
1-2 punch.
Yeah, I mean, they ain't no pulling punches. It's about, you know, get obliterated or live, basically.
Right, yo. Remember I told
we
you?
do. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm
We
sorry.
do got to know that. Yeah, we do got to know that after this season.
Yeah.
I mean, we do got to kind of worry to see what they're gonna go next because this whole season addressed everything that happened in the last season back in '97 that we saw. So everything from here on out is something new that they're gonna write or put in or do. So we gotta hope.
You know, it didn't really even talk about anything because somebody, my son was like, he's like, I didn't watch the first show, but it barely you don't have to like this season barely even mentioned anything from the last show. The only thing that you had to know was that Xavier died. If you knew that, everything from this show was brand new. It had nothing to do with the previous series.
The last time we saw his ass,
Not like, you know what I mean. Not like it followed the last show. I'm saying like everything that went on was like it seemed like to me when I watched it, it was the very next season. So like everything that went on the season before that pushed the story to where it's at now is what we got in this season.
Well,
But then leaving from this season, it's going to be is all new. Everything's new.
Right.
So because at the end of that last '97, when Xavier left, I literally thought he died. I was like, damn, Xavier. But then I was like, wait a minute, he don't really die. He go with. So it was like a lot of questions, and they just left us literally hanging.
Yeah.
And so this to me was like a continuation of all of that. That like, let's say if they came out in 1998, they came out with another one or whenever it ended, I would have been like, yo, this was dope. But with the choppy animation, but they did it with the new anime. Like to me, it's like this next season is we answered the questions about, we know Xavier is alive. We know what Magneto is capable of. We know his view now. Gambit dies. A couple other people bite the bullet. Like now it's like untreaded waters for this new season. And I'm still excited about it, man. I'm just hoping they just keep the same formula. Follow the comics and just keep the same formula.
Yeah, and that the new Bishop, it's Bishop, but it's not the same Bishop from the first. He looks a lot different now. But he's
short hair. He doesn't look as grizzled, and
right.
He's got used to the animation.
Yeah,
I will say, man, okay, so it goes both ways. So speaking of the casting and the voice actors and what have you, so versus the original series, now I love the fact that some of the original cast is back. Obviously, guy who played Cyclops passed, but that got Ray Chase to me embodies. I just hear the other guy's voice and his voice. It's a perfect meld to me. Like I'm not saying it's uber perfect, but it's close enough.
Yeah.
I could tell Rogue, Lenora. I can tell she's been a smoker most of her life. So and our voice does typically change, in tone as we get older. Depending if you're a guy or a girl, but I don't know, man. It's like hell. I'm sitting here looking at what did I get?
You remember I was telling you, Daredevil, when I was telling you I was on the fence about selling my X-Men collection, my X Factor. This show made me put a pause on everything. It's
First adversary,
yeah. I'm like, yo, this is crazy.
His name is Cal Dodd.
Cal
Yeah,
Dodd.
Cal Dodd played
That's
Wolverine.
my cover right there. That's the crazy cover.
Yeah, that
Strife
cover
is
is
my
ill.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
that's
Said
one of my
Stripe to take a
favorite
boat.
X-Men covers right there.
Oh, Strife. Yeah, that was the other thing I spoke about before. Maybe Strife is coming. You gotta have Strife. And
that.
some
I'm
Yeah,
getting
nah,
my
that's true.
X-Men. I got like 2 long boxes of X-Men that's under all these toy boxes and shit. But
same
yeah,
old.
Strife is that dude. He's capable without the techno organic virus holding him back.
Yeah.
So that
Mm.
dude's OP as fuck.
And
But
that's another cool thing too that they've kind of, you know, I enjoyed the whole, you know, future time travel, you know,
yeah,
the
man.
organic virus,
Yeah,
uh, and I'm just like I know almost everything about it now,
yeah.
and I'm just like I know when Joe Fest coming up this month, I'm gonna even though I'm gonna be going for Master of the Universe stuff, I'm gonna have a list of pretty much of what main comics I'm going after, and obviously, main thing I'm going after because I had the second print of it and never could find the first in person. But I'm gonna try to look for it. It's gonna be Marvel Graphic Novel 17, which is the actual first cameo of Apocalypse in human disguise. Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
to me, if you're gonna be an Apocalypse fan, that's you got to have that. You can't not have that book.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm.
of course I had to pick up that set. Was Age of Apocalypse? His origin, you know, his birthplace. It talks about his birthplace. Uh,
Rise of Apocalypse.
yeah, Rise of Apocalypse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we were just talking about that one earlier. That's a great one, and that's the same. You know, that's the version that we got at the end of this episode. Was that version
yeah,
of
because
Apocalypse where we see
Gambit's gonna be the
and
Horseman of Death.
Sabanur. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Wow.
awesome, man. And two different voice actors too. In all honesty, man, I wish I'm just gonna say it now, but I'm a had to see more come next season of Apocalypse and how he talks versus
yeah,
different voice actors. Because now, when he first spoke, now that dude embodies to me that's the way I would want my Apocalypse to sound now. Because you couldn't get the old, you know, the one guy passed away and the other guy now is what he's like 80, 83 or something.
Yeah.
He's up there.
Yeah. He's up there.
yeah,
Uh,
Oh
so
wow.
you know, but the other guy, you know, he's all right. So we're gonna see.
yeah.
Uh, I know
I'm,
I'm super excited, man. Super
I'm
excited.
always down with the story part of it. Like the
Mhm.
voices, yeah, it's cool. I mean, but
The lore.
from 97 to now, it's like I kind of forgot those voices in a sense. Like
Right.
unless I watch the old show, then I
Yeah,
can get the voices back. Now I can compare. But
Right.
the way they did it, it was like I naturally fell into it. So because of the story, it was just
Yeah.
that's you know everything about it. That's why I say all the planets have got to line up. They didn't fumble the ball or anything. You know, that's you know everybody had their concerns about it. Even I did. So
Well,
I you
speaking
know,
of concerns, the you know, this is a perfect way to come up with I think the writers for the MCU X-Men, they should use the same people that are doing this shit. Honestly, but a lot of fans find it somewhat peculiar that, you know, despite the recent surge in popularity of this show, Feige is not considering hiring this team for the movie. And they're not too shy about vocalizing it. And I think, you know, two of the people that Feige shortlisted and that he's talking about doing the X-Men movie do not inspire any fucking hope for me. I mean, I personally, I don't think anybody. I don't even want the current regime that's making movies right now fucking with the X-Men. That's me personally.
nah,
I don't. I'd rather them not even do an X-Men movie until they get some people that know what the fuck they're doing with superhero comic movies.
yeah.
But you know, the search for writers for the X-Men movies has been ongoing for quite some time, and with the MCU taking this process pretty seriously, but the
They have to.
it's
They
and
have to.
you know it's pivotal in shaping this universe
And it's no
and
big secret. It's no big secret that if they don't knock it out the park with X-Men, they are done. They
yeah,
have
well
to.
in
Like
this new
Everything's
Insider.
looking on X-Men right now.
Here's
Yeah.
what's going to make
The
them knock it out the park. If they go in with Wolverine again, we can't do that. I want them to at least acknowledge the very first class, the original class.
mm,
You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
I mean they go for the fan favorites, yeah, but we
yeah.
got enough of him. We got enough of Wolverine. We got enough
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
Storm. Let's get the very first crew. Then
that's
that
dope.
second movie you can
You know
jump.
what I want to? It's funny you say that because what I want to see, what I've been wanting, is I want the story where the first crew is they're fucked up and Xavier has to enlist a new crew to save that crew. This
Exactly.
happens and it's for it kind of happens without happening in the comics and then they talk about it later, but that would be a dope ass movie. You know, he goes to Canada, finds Wolverine, he goes to Japan, gets Sunfire, goes to Africa, gets Storm, goes to Russia, gets Colossus, you know, goes to Germany and gets Nightcrawler. It goes all to all the places and all over the world and collects this dope ass team that we know of as the team, and then they go back and they go to save your Angel, Beast, Cyclops, Jean Grey, because we did already have that X-Men First Class movie.
Right. Yeah. I
And
was
they
gonna say
tried to
that.
do the same thing with
Yeah.
that, with the
Similar.
recruitment. Yeah. But
But
just
that
to have that okay, that first class. Now we mentioned on the show that when you had the show about the Fantastic Four that it'd be a period piece in the 60s, right? When they
right.
first came into the game.
Yep. Yep.
They can do that with the X-Men in the
They
same
could do that
time
again.
period.
Yeah, they
Same
could do
time
that
period.
again.
Let's get it popping.
Again, man, like I would I'm leery of being like, yeah, hell yeah, because the people that are currently making these movies, if they did that, I wouldn't like it. But if the right people did that shit, hell yeah, that's a dope ass, because I love the First Class movies. I mean, I love the old school versions, and that shit would be sick as fuck if it was done right. But according to this insider guy, Jeff Snyder, he sat down with two of the finalists who could potentially steer the X-Men into the MCU. And while the task ahead is not like a walk in the park, their resumes, I think, will give you an idea of what we might get. First up is Rafe Judkins, a talent with a repertoire spanning film and television. He's been supervising producer on Marvel's Agents of Shield. He's the showrunner of Amazon's The Wheel of Time. He's doing the upcoming God of War series, showrunning the God of War series that's coming. And he's basically that kind of track record in TV, but then he's also had co-writing credits on movies like Uncharted, and The Division, which are dope ass adaptations of video games. And then the other person that is another potential person is Michael Leslie, who co-wrote Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and Now You See Me Part 3. He's done shit like the Harry Potter TV series, and I think that's all we would know of him. So, I'm like, like that don't impress me. Like I'm not excited about that. Fans expressed a lot of disappointment in Kevin Feige for not hiring the X-Men 97 writing team. Because when fans heard the news that the reactions were pretty largely negative, they a lot of people were surprised and disappointed that Feige seemed to like overlook what us fans consider the obvious choice, and that is the animated television series X-Men 97 writing team. It's been a good show. It's proven its merit. It's proven that people like the we don't have to worry. You know what I mean? Like we already know what we're gonna get. We already know what we're getting. We already know what type of shit they do, and fans are genuinely grateful for this rendition. And I think, given its immense success, people do find it kind of fucking perplexing why the team wasn't even considered for the MCU live action movie adaptation. A lot of people on Twitter saying shit. This guy said, "Oh, so they want it to fail." I see. Uh, this guy said, "Just hire the same staff from X-Men already, from '97 already." This guy said, So the post is the two people saying Rafe Judkins Wheel of Time and Michael Leslie Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Like, first of all, like, I don't really want Hunger Games X-Men movie, but this
Yep.
is the post right here. Y'all can see it. So
I think, man, like if you look at it, bro, like okay, them hiring the X-Men team for the X-Men 97, I think they're trying to not cause burnout. And as a creative, if you're stretched a certain limit, your shit can conflict and get all screwy. So I guess they want to keep those fresh minds for that X-Men 97. They don't want to lose the momentum of that with those writers. Because
yeah.
sometimes writers, when you jump on, if you're doing an animation, now you're jumping into movies where you're limited on certain things, on how to bring it across. Like there's so much special effects you can do for certain things, whereas animation, you can do the impossible with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that may be where they're going at. That's why they got to reach out to new writers. So
It's
I
possible.
think, you know what I mean? Because I mean, to us, we'll look at it like, oh, it's simple and plain. Bring those writers on. Not knowing that also there's contracts. There's animation writers, and there's movie writers, and then there's television writers. And they all have different contracts.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Different type of union representatives going into that. So they don't cross over like that. There's only certain people who have that rep that can go across the board because they're in a different tier. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I mean,
This guy said, so yeah, this is the it says,
I see he wanted to fail.
oh yeah, that guy said, oh, so they wanted to fail, I see. Because yeah, this is the Jaffe Rafe. I mean, listen, it don't have to be the team from X-Men 97, but
yeah.
I have no faith in any of the people making decisions over there right now. But that's why I'm kind of like agreeing with some of these people. This guy said, or the people who make X-Men 97, just saying. This guy said, why not hire the additional showrunners and writers on X-Men 97? They're giving us the blueprint right now. This guy said, what is Feige doing? Get the X-Men 97 team onto the X-Men movie. And while you're at it, get the Loki season 2 team to handle the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. There you go. This guy said, if MCU was smart, they'd give first dibs shot to X-Men 97 showrunner and writers because they were the actual ones to revitalize interest in the franchise by giving audiences the exact character-driven moments they want to watch. LOLs. The X-Men show was the OG show, was the MCU before the MCU became the MCU, right? And certain things that being a spiritual successor, a revival that the show had ingrained in its DNA, we got to have that ingrained in our DNA too. Cameos were a big thing. The expansion of the MCU overall, of the characters, the side stories, and many derivatives of the books that came out for the team, that's all ingrained in the show. Yeah, man. But yeah, I mean, it don't have to be them, but I would like to see, somebody that knows what they're doing.
Very competent, also very who know how to do their research into the characters and the story overall.
And they care about and they know about, the comics. you know, the characters.
Sometimes we can straddle the line of caring too much and not really focusing on the broader stream. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody can be like, "Oh yeah, I love
Yeah,
the."
but I don't want nobody that doesn't know shit about it. That's
That's what
stupid.
I'm saying. You can research and know and get into it without saying, "Oh," because we all have our favorite characters. Now, a writer will be like, "Okay, my favorite character is, let's say, Jubilee. I'm gonna give her more screen time because that's my favorite character within the story." You said you
Well,
don't.
anybody knew that they're still gonna form a favorite character, even if they're new to it. You know, they're still gonna pick someone that they like the best. They're
Yeah.
gonna pick their person that they're gonna make it for. And no, I don't want no one that's like stuck in their old ways, like some old head. Nah, like somebody who at least reads the new comics. Like you care something about these characters. You know, at least someone that cares about the characters and not just, oh, I'm doing a Marvel movie or I'm doing an X-Men movies. Oh, look what I could do. Or you know, let me do this and let me do that, and they'll remember my name forever. You know, that type of shit. I don't need that. I just want someone who cares about the characters and the story and you know what I mean, and makes a good movie for people that want to see a good fucking movie. Not, I don't want to see your fucking version of shit that you invented, Ryan Johnson. Stop it. You know what I mean? Like.
I want a movie that I can just rewatch and it doesn't bother me. I just watch it whenever I feel like it, and it's the same level of, you know, from the first time I watched it. So
Yeah. Jonathan Slade said Jonathan Hickman. That's cool, but he's kind of busy because I think he's being a consultant on the G.I. Joe Transformer thing since they
Yeah,
have
well, he's
rival.
doing that. He's doing that. He's doing he's got like 4 comics that he's writing right now.
Yes.
Yeah, he's doing a bunch of shit. But nah, Slade is, you know, you already know that's my guy. That's my favorite dude. If we ever got a movie by this guy, and I think one day we might, I think it's gonna be the best shit. I mean, because his comics are like movies. Like that's what Jonathan Hickman does. That's why I like him so much, because his comics, they're like sci-fi movies. I mean, they even have fucking, you know, just sheets of information. You know, they're called the, you know, we call them the Hickman white pages, because like he'll just have a sheet of just text on a white page, no pictures, nothing, just a whole bunch of text. And a lot of people don't like that shit. They're like, fuck, you know, this isn't, you know, I'm not trying to read a novel here, like, but. And it's not necessary. You don't have. You could skip those pages, and it won't affect the story. That's what is also great about it. It's just for if you were one of those people who really likes lore and you want some.
Yeah, it's icing on the cake. Yeah, if you can read between the lines, you know.
Yeah. Yep. But for season 2 of this show, sorry, man, what were you gonna say?
Oh no, I said that's the golden stuff.
Hell yeah. But yes, we are getting season 2 of the show. It's already greenlit for X-Men 97. Production is already largely wrapped. The Marvel Animation is sort of spinning up production on the 3rd season as well. And yes, it is a good time to be an X-Men fan. There's a lot of great books. Like I got a stack of comics right that I'm reading right now, just a bunch of different stories that's going on. And I mean, it's some good stuff. Obviously the show is you know, the peak of it all, but I think season 2 definitely will be, you know, very apocalypse heavy. The final episode of season 1 definitely left, you know, X-Men separated across 3 different time periods. We had, you know, Cyclops and Jean Grey went to the future. A bunch of the rest of the team went to Egypt. Forge and them are you know, kind of in the present, but then they go to a different future. It's a whole lot of shit going on. But
time traveling. Yeah.
Yes, and then we had the destruction of Magneto's floating base asteroid M. So you know, it doesn't seem to have been, you know, intentional on their part. You know, the time stranded X-Men seem, you know, fucked up by it. But as Bishop described it, he said something or someone yanked our friends through time.
And you know, I don't mean to cut you off. You remember the episode with the Beyond Good and Evil? And he basically bumps him while he's in, you know, they're time traveling through the loop or whatever in time, and he bumps him Bishop, Apocalypse bunks Bishop out, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And being a time traveler himself, Bishop definitely, he understands that shit. He would know. So it's dope to have him, back, and he's gonna have a big role, I think, in this next season, obviously. And the second season looks to be separating itself into three separate plot lines, kind of like how Game of Thrones would do, or any of the big, TV show, HBO shows or something like that. There's always like three separate stories going on at once, and they'll kind of flip, back and forth between them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I think they're going to do here for season 2, which is very dope. Which, I would love to see them make the show length, the episode's a little longer, but it is animation. So, but, that's not as easy, but they're
40
definitely,
minutes episode, hour episode.
that'd
They
be
could do an hour.
crazy.
Yeah,
That'd,
They
hour,
could do 40
hour,
minutes to an hour.
hour,
Hour would be great.
that'd
Hour
be,
would be great. They can do an hour.
that'd be insane. An hour-long animation show
It's like if I was the project
every
manager,
week.
if I was heading up the project, I'd be like, listen, we only get 10 episodes. But they
Right.
never say how long they can be. So I want 10, 1 hour, or if they normally it's like 8. So I'd be like, give me 8 1-hour episodes. That's 8
Yeah.
hours. We can do that. And then
Yeah.
I could go into a lot more and make it, I can give a lot more action sequences, a lot more. Give me an hour. I'd be like, look,
Yeah.
we ain't doing that less than 50 minutes. 50
Well,
minutes would be the least amount we're gonna do.
I mean 35, 40 maybe would be crazy. That'd be crazy. But like, yeah, that, instead of just, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but it would be nice to have 45 minutes, just make them a little longer. Give us some.
No, my solution for them, man, is keep it the way they at 30 or whatever,
Mhm.
but have at the end of each season, you have a movie finale. You know
That'd
what I'm
be
saying? You have a movie.
Yeah, that would be dope.
finale.
Oh, like a 2-hour. Yeah, like a 2-hour
Yeah.
finale.
Yeah.
Or in the beginning, like a 2-hour beginning. First, the first episode is 2 hours, and then it's 30 minutes after that.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
dope.
Be one or
We
one
can
in the
do that.
beginning, one at the end. That'd be dope.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we
with
can do
them
that.
doing,
Yeah.
these three different timelines, it's a lot of story to kind of try to wrap up. It'll end up being like an episode of this storyline, an episode of this timeline, an episode of that timeline, instead of like one episode with, we're going to touch on that timeline. We're going to see it. We're going to jump over here, see what they're doing. We're going to hop back, see what they're doing. We're going to check what they're doing. That's a lot in a 20, 30-minute show, but it would be nice if they did something to that effect. But they've got the Egyptian one set in the past. They've got Earth's far, far future. They've got the present day. And then, if we bring in some X-Men comic knowledge, it's clear that all these plots are back to the villain Apocalypse. Now Rogue, Nightcrawler, Beast, Professor X, Magneto are stranded in the ancient past, and just in time to interact with the origin story, the Rise of Apocalypse story from the books. And we see Apocalypse there, who believes mutant kind must be put through rigorous survival of the fittest, based on challenges in order to claim their dominance over humans and be worthy and begin his immortal existence as the ancient Egyptian man. And then we dip over to Mother Ascani, the Ascani people. We have Jean and Cyclops 2,000 years in the future. There's another comic miniseries just about the Ascani and Jean and Cyclops in the future. And in the time of Clan Ascani, a group of rebel fighters, kind of like from like Terminator, like where Reese is, those guys, like freedom fighters in the future. That's what it kind of reminds me of. And they're like a resistance, and in the age of apocalypse, kind of post-apocalyptic apocalypse rule, kind of future, far future that Apocalypse created. And in the comics, the Ascani's timeline is where baby Cable was sent. Remember, they send Cable into the future as a baby, and they send him there in hopes that the future is going to mold and is going to be a better place and might have the cure to his techno-organic virus. And so they send him there hoping that that could save his life. Cable was received there as a kind of messiah, like a messianic child, and much like him and Hope Summers do later, but his time travel confirmed destiny definitely being put an end to Apocalypse's reign. So and then also in the comics, Mother Ascani, who is actually Scott and Jean's grown-up daughter from yet another timeline. But don't
Talk
worry
to
about it.
This is gonna be wild.
Yeah,
Rachel Summers, yeah.
She raising her little brother.
right. And it's crazy. Again, fucking some of the best writing in comics. But yeah, she used her own mutant gift of time manipulation to pull Cyclops and Jean into that future so that they could actually raise their own son there. And before returning to the present day, as if no time had passed. And that way, you know, they'd have that life with Cable. Instead of just knowing him as this older guy, they get to see him as a kid, raise him. And, you know, his presence here, you know, as the teenage Cable kind of walks up. And I'm glad it's not the fucking Cable from the Dawn of X comics, because that really sucked for that whole time being that we had that bullshit going on. But I don't even talk about that. But
no, that's a blip on the radio.
But yeah, yes, taking its own swing to that story. I think this show will definitely hit another fucking bullseye. It's called The Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix.
Yeah.
I had
yeah. I read those. Yeah, they were good.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah.
I even had the issue where they got married. I even have the issue where they got married.
I had
Yeah, so go get Rise of Apocalypse and The Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix. Get those 2 miniseries, you'll be straight for the show. You don't even have to buy the comics, you can get them digitally. So, you know, again, you know, I don't want to like step on any toes or piss anybody off, but you know, digital comics do have their place in their purpose.
Yeah,
But
they're called keeping clutter down. It's called keeping down the clutter.
Depending on what book it is, it might cost you, I don't know, untold number of vengeance. So I don't want to be flipping through that when I could just, you know what I'm saying? No.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
listen, man, I don't.
Yeah, you might not get
I gotta get me a subscription.
Yeah. No, but like say you want to read the first time, you know, Spider-Man, you know, did XYZ. That shit's gonna cost a few $1,000s to buy the comic. But you know, you go on and read it digitally for, you know, $5 or whatever. But yes, so season 1, the credits, the finale, the credits bring us back to Apocalypse in the present, gives us a big hint at the future, at all those really juicy loved or love to hate X-Men characters like Gambit, Emma Frost, Sebastian Shaw, all who died in Genosha. So much pain, my children. Apocalypse. I am Apocalypse.
Yeah, there you go.
So much death.
Yes, I am.
I was doing Magneto.
All the humans.
So much pain, my children. Yeah, so Apocalypse orates over one of Gambit's playing cards, and so the odds of Apocalypse striking back at humanity for the fall of Genosha seems very likely. You know, and that he'll resurrect some of Genosha's dead as the 4 Horsemen. I think that he's going to bring back Gambit and da-da-da-da. And I think maybe once he brings back Gambit as the 4 Horsemen, then when they cure the 4 Horsemen, Gambit will be back and it'll be alive. That's how they'll do that. So as the X-Men search for their friends from the present, it seems that they'll have to, you know, deal with Apocalypse's plans and all that. And then there's a matter of Wolverine's bones. No one's even talking about yet. So, you know, he's now got the bone claws.
Well, we know how that. Right, we know how that story ends, and we know what that's all about. That's why I think nobody really. I think we just be more. We just want to see how they do it, but we know what happens. We just need to see how it happens.
Well, we didn't think they'd have the cojones to sit there and actually, you know, put an animation of the process, or you know what Magneto did to him. We knew it in the 90s. We were in depth with it. And, like, damn, man, really? Okay, then. All right.
They put it in the cartoon like some real violence. One man stabbed him. And then he's like, what?
Yeah, look at it.
Look at that. I mean, adapting stuff, their level of adapting straight from the comics is
Even you can see how they ripped his mask. It's like right there, like yo, they're no joke with it.
Even
Yeah.
got Magneto in the background in the same way with his helmet off.
Same way, yeah. With his helmet off, everything, yeah. Yep.
Woo. I love it. I love it. Love it. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Chinese goodness.
Yes,
I do
sir.
too.
That's the good shit.
Speaking of
So, yeah, work on season 2 has already begun. Work on the season 2 finale has already begun as of late July 2023. They and development on the 3rd season was supposed to begin this past March. So they're way into it, man. Yeah. And before beginning production on season 3, Marvel Animation will be searching for a new showrunner because for whatever reason, the fucking writer Bo DeMayo, who did these first seasons, is now parted ways. That's parted ways. So
because he had an OnlyFans. Like really,
I don't.
He
I
had a what?
really wish-
Why? Yeah.
so during the I believe it was during the writers' strike. They wasn't making no money.
Yeah.
So what do? Or how you got to get your money?
Yeah.
He started on OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.
Or something like that. And now they trying to say, oh, you had an OnlyFans, like this is bad publicity. Not knowing that there was plenty of writers and people and actors had their own little things going on.
Whatever they had to do.
Well, if you're making money and it's something successful, how in the hell you got? I mean, come on, man, you got to come up with something better than that. I mean, that's just asinine.
Yeah.
Like,
and if these are writing
and being fired, I mean, I
don't know what he was doing. I don't know. Did he have an OnlyFans where he was?
You sue them for inequality if they talking about they want to be equal opportunity. You know, if the females can do it, why can't the males do it? Why you ostracizing me? Why you want to fire me because hey, I was trying to get money so I could survive.
I'm just wondering how with him no longer that are they going to still keep that same level of where they're at with it. The writers are still there, minus him obviously, but I just hope that's my biggest concern. If I've got any kind of a concern right now on any level, is that because I know I'm well aware that he scripted the first 2 seasons, and from season 3 on, we're like I don't even know, maybe playing Russian roulette with a loaded gun.
Yeah, they need to rethink that. I mean, they need to do something because I mean. The showrunner is the one who guides the whole thing, the flow to keep it going, convey with the writers. This is how we should move. This is the flow. This is how we should cut to this, that. Now, and I mean, like people's personal business should be their personal business. I mean, I understand, but there's so many things going on in a damn world. Come on, I don't know, man. I think they should.
Listen, if the man want to start a fans only, let him do it, man. Like, I don't see what the problem is. Like, for the life of me, I just don't get it. Like, maybe I'm just that old. I don't know, bro. But it was never a problem in the 80s. It was never a problem in the 90s. Even in the early 2000s. I don't even know where we even turned left and went down this alleyway. When now all of a sudden. Like, look at James Gunn. They fired James Gunn from Guardians of the Galaxy for something he said like eons ago, and he was like, it was like he said it wasn't even like he said it was just a joke. Like it was just a joke I told. Like a couple of times I told a joke, and they just fired him, and they was on limbo about whether we're gonna get another Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Yeah,
and then DC hired him, and then Marvel was like, "Oh wait a minute, hold up, they still gave him a job. Well, okay, I guess we can give him a job too." So it just like you said, Martel, just whatever their personal life, that's just their personal life. Man. Like
let that be.
Michael Jordan used to, and look at Michael Jordan. He used to tell Dennis Rodman, "I don't give a damn how many dresses you wear. I don't give a damn how many books. I don't give a damn all that freaky stuff. When you put on that Bulls uniform, it's all business, brother. None of that comes onto the court.
And Rodman showed and
And
proved.
Rodman,
This dude would
showed and
party
proved, yeah.
and go to
Yes,
practice.
he would.
Everybody's like, "Yo,
Yeah.
where do you get the energy, dude?"
I don't know.
And then
Yeah.
play the game after the practice.
That dude was something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
man.
so if they did it, I don't understand why now all of a sudden. Yeah, but you know, Reno did say it before, and we've been saying it for a long time. Cancel culture, they got a voice, bruh, and people listen to them. And
Well,
when we were going through with the Mandalorian, and they wanted to knock what's her name off, that was just dumb. Like it just
I just, it's like I keep
Gabriel
telling people
Summers.
about Match City Universe. A lot of these brands are, celebrating their 40th anniversary, and I'm just like, why you gotta be so damn negative this, negative that? I'm just like, why can't you just enjoy it, man? You don't know that crap could be gone next week. So just make the most of it.
Like they'll want to feminize He-Man, put Teal to the front, but you ain't gotta do that. Just give us She-Ra instead. So now the girls got something, and the boys got something. I mean, nobody ever said we couldn't do She-Ra. Y'all want a female He-Man? That's what She-Ra is. Let it roll. But nobody says anything about that. Nobody will even be like, oh, why can't we just do a She-Ra? Yeah, it would have made sense.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah,
Johnny
Scotty,
Face.
yeah.
I'll break it down for y'all, and I got some.
Yo, who is Gabriel Summers? Who is Gabriel Summers?
Another Summers.
Yeah, he's another one of them.
So when they walked up, this is Mama Ascani. That's AKA Rachel Summers.
Yeah.
She's she's the daughter of Jean and Cyclops. But the clan Ascani and how they shaped Cable's lifelong mission against Apocalypse. How they saved the sacred timeline and how these heroes of the future interacted with the present day X-Men. After Apocalypse took over the world in the late 37th century, the Ascani rose up to fight him, holding an almost religious reverence for the X-Men and Professor X. Remember when Cable was like, when they would sit around and talk about, these legends, and they would talk about these legendary people, the X-Men, and they would just regale these stories and talk about, them like they were legends. And Cable said he used to piss him off because he knew that he should have grown up with them. He should have been in those stories. He should have been one of those X-Men and that they idolized and revered and shit, like almost like a religion. And the Ascani, whose name translates to family of outsiders, developed a philosophy built around tenets like what is, and thanks for today, please for tomorrow. Inspired by relative peace and harmony of the age of Xavier, the Ascani also believed in embracing fate and maintaining a sacred timeline through the careful use of time travel to ensure certain events occur, and while preventing other events from altering history. So many of the Ascani had become, their powers had manifested as psychic powers, and which they channeled into bladed spears called scimitars or scimitars, like scimitars, but with a P, like a psi, like psionic. So scimitars. And so they frequently used the, kind of like Psylocke has, she's got the psychic sword. And they would frequently use to meditate and float upside down and shit like that. The Ascani would do shit like that. And so but the Ascani clan was founded by Rachel Summers, the daughter of Cyclops and Jean Grey, from the Sentinel controlled Days of Future Past reality. So that whole Days of Future Past shit that we've seen like umpteen times and stuff, that is the reality that they branch from. And after being split apart through the time stream, one version of Rachel Summers ended up in the far future and began forming a resistance against Apocalypse. And we see this in X-Men Phoenix #1, 1999. And Rachel, also called the Bright Lady, took the name Mother Ascani and recruited Sanxity, and that's a time traveling mutant daughter of Sentinel creator Bolivar Trask. And after Rachel died and Apocalypse destroyed Clan Ascani, Sanxity formed the Ascani Sisterhood, which carried on the Ascani legacy and taught a lot of it to a young Cable. And you see him in the comics, and Rachel says, and though she has since made a life for herself some 2,000 years from this moment, Rachel Summers can't help but feeling she has come home. She only wishes she could be happy about it. And Cable really plays a significant role in the Ascani philosophy as the Ascani son, right? He's the Ascani son. It's a prophesized warrior that is destined to kill Apocalypse, and the Ascani debuted when one of its members, Sister Jen Ascani, traveled to the past to save an infant Cable. This was an X Factor number 66 by Jim Lee and Chris Claremont. Yes, they recognized that Nathan Summers would grow up to be his nemesis Cable. Apocalypse had the baby Cable infected with the techno-organic virus, to stop it from, growing up and killing him, which, turned his body into a machine, or started to turn his body into a machine. And to save his son's life, Cyclops allowed Jen to take Nathan into the Ascani's future for treatment, right? Remember, they sent him to the future so that he could get the techno-organic virus cured. And Cable briefly returned to the modern Marvel universe as a teenager on a mission for the Ascani. He spent his childhood and most of his early adult life in that future wasteland, in that Ascani future, where he's where he gets his virus cured, and then he kind of stays with the clan, and they save his life, but they were not initially not sure that they could save him, so they cloned him. They made a clone of him because they weren't sure that they were going to be successful in saving the one affected by the virus. So the clone, however, falls into the hands of Apocalypse, and who plans to use him as a new host body for himself. Apocalypse is going to take this body and live in it because it's, it's peak. It's got all these powers, but the clone grows up and becomes Strife, and who's Cable's rival and a big enemy of the X-Men, and just super powerful. He's basically, Cable. The reason Cable would be like this super dope telekinetic fucking guy, but he's using all his powers to keep the techno-organic virus at bay. And if he, he's got to be like using it at, all the time, so he can rarely ever use any of his powers like that. So Strife is like him without the virus, him being able to use all his powers, and also a bad guy. But after Mother Ascani was wounded in battle, she brings Cyclops and Jean into the future to look after Cable in the Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix, number 1, 1994, by Scott Liddell. The newly married Scott Summers and Jean Grey posed as Slim and Red Dayspring, and they raised the young Nathan for several years. It's Nathan Dayspring. And then they hid their future, or they hid their true identities from him. And Scott and Jean spent years raising Nathan as they roamed around this future timeline. And Jean and the comatose Mother Ascani even taught Nathan how to use his telekinesis to keep the techno-organic virus in check, and limit its effects, to that left side of his body. And with the telepathic instruction from Mother Ascani, the young Cable goes, and face to face with Strife for the first time and defeated him. And when Apocalypse tried to put his mind into Strife's body, Scott, Jean, and Cable attacked him in the Adventures of Cyclops Phoenix number 4. And thanks to the betrayal of Cyclops' servant Xavier, Cable and his family disrupted the transferal process and killed Apocalypse. And in that story, and just as the battle ended, Mother Ascani dies, and Scott and Jean are pulled back into the past, leaving Nathan by himself once again. And That's
Mhm.
like them, like in the future, like walking around, you
Yeah.
know, roaming. That's red. That's them as the day springs. It says they're hot, exhausted, hungry, but none of this matters, for they are together. They are a family. And Cable says, Red. And she says, Yes, Nate. And he says, Are we almost there yet? And then you see Cyclops over there looking out. He says, We're exactly where we're supposed to be. We're home, Nate. We're home. And with Apocalypse dead, and the young Cable having faced strife, and the new Canaanites, as they tried to fill the power vacuum left behind by Apocalypse's death. Sanctity, sorry, assembled the remaining Ascani into the Ascani Sisterhood as Cable gathered the allies, like the soldier Tetherblood and the telepathic blacksmith, who extracted the highly evolved alien AI called the Professor from Cable's body. And after meeting his future wife, Alaya, Cable studied with the Ascani Sisterhood in another comic series called Ascani Sun, #3. And although, a crazed Sanctity joined strife, Cable and his Ascani allies formed the Clan Chosen, which debuted in Cable #1 by Fabian Nicieza in 1993. Dope shit. Utilizing, I think I got it on the wall right there. Utilizing guerrilla tactics, this fighting force became the primary opposition to Strife's forces and the new Canaanites. And although the clan Chosen forged a peace with the new Canaanites, Alaya was killed in a bombing. And with her son Cable, Tyler Dayspring became the twisted time-traveling villain Genesis.
Mm.
When Strife traveled to the modern-day Marvel Universe, Cable followed him. In keeping with the Ascani's dedication to preserving the sacred timeline, Cable needed to stop Strife's plans and ensure that Apocalypse's history unfolded as it did in his future. And
Yeah, that's wild.
that's a shot right there from
Yep.
that book.
Yep. Yep.
That brings me back.
Move out. Yep, yep.
Mhm.
And yeah, and due to their dedication to the timeline, several members of the clan Ascani joins Cable in time traveling to the modern Marvel Universe, and where Sanctity tried to prevent her father from inventing the Sentinels, because she's Bolivar Trask's daughter. Mother Ascani stops her to preserve history in Uncanny X-Men #1 back in 1963. And Blacksmith, Cable's old mentor and telekinetic ally, followed Cable into the past before stepping out of the shadows in Cable #21. And then Blacksmith was initially sent to the past by Ascani to ensure that Cable would maintain the timeline and carry out his mission, but he ends up advising Nathan as he did in the future. Ascani also made several attempts to establish sects in the modern day. And after his telepathic power was disrupted, Cable retrieved his Skimtar from the hidden Ascani order that had been established by a time-traveling Shivare in Cable #58. Cable also tried to teach some Ascani tenets to a group of female mutants called the Dark Sisterhood, but they rebelled and tried to kill him. And then Cable attempted to build a nation on the island's Providence, taking over Rumixstan, and promoted the Ascani's idea, but those efforts failed. And I think that's that Nick Fury joint.
Oh yeah. Remember that cover?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then that's when it gets into the dope shit with which I've shown you guys this book a bunch of times. It's Messiah Complex.
Yeah.
Raising Hope Summers.
205.
And
That cover.
yeah. And despite the Ascani teachings, Cable wanted them to learn from their mistakes, of their adult counterparts. So when Beast brought the teenage versions of the original X-Men to the modern day, they stayed and took an active role in the X-Men's world. Cable and Hope and all of that. And But Blacksmith saw that this would create a divergent timeline where the death of a teenage Iceman caused the extinction of mutants. And to fix the timeline, Blacksmith recruited a teenage version of Cable and sent him to the modern day, as revealed in X-Force number 5. But to complete his mission, the young Cable killed his older counterpart and helped the teenage X-Men return to their past. After that ordeal, they left Rachel Summers vulnerable, and then a time-traveling strife captured her in an effort to destroy that clan chosen in the future. And then, together with the modern-day X-Force, you had the young Cable facing strife again with his mutant liberation army. And once the real Mother Ascani saved Rachel, Cable talked her into sparing Strife's life and erasing his memory to preserve the timeline in X-Force number 10. And then after the young Cable spent time with his family in the present, the older Cable was resurrected, and the young Cable returned to the Ascani future with the timeline restored. And we saw that shit in the new comics. Yo, what up? Marshall Warpath, salute. I agree, sir. Gambit will be back as the Horseman of Apocalypse. I definitely agree. Oh wow, look at that. Yeah, man, that's the whole Ascani Cable fucking origin breakdown. And that's why Cable is like, one of my favorite, if not my favorite characters, because I'm a big fan of like post-apocalyptic.
Yep.
That's just like that's like probably one of my favorite genres.
Yep.
And he's that dude, he's just grizzled old fucking lone war. Yeah, lone, just gritty bastard. Yeah. So, he's it's kind of the same reason I like Wolverine, but he's like an old head, so I fuck with Cable. But yeah, man, that's it in the whole nutshell. Real quick, man, before we wrap it up, because it's almost that time. But
I seen it.
What happened?
Boat raw showing off. I seen it. I seen it while I was up at the shop.
That's the new one.
That's 306.
306, brother.
Damn, I'm still on 305. I got my 306. I love this cover though.
These covers are dope.
I seen both.
My 306 is at the shop. I got to go pick it up Saturday.
Yeah, I had to pick mine up today.
Oh yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, here's a good one.
Guys murdering. Yo, look at who he's murdering.
Yeah,
that's why I wore the hoodie. I'm like, this dude went crazy. I gotta read it though, but the cover just says it all. Snake guys ain't to be fucked with. It's gonna be dope, though. Once I read it. You frozen, bro?
No, I'm here.
So Reno.
Oh, Reno? He might be. I see Stu moving. I think Reno froze.
Yeah.
Looks like it.
Yeah, he froze.
Yeah. Well, I know I need to bounce anyway, man. I gotta eat some late supper. I ain't ate nothing.
Yeah, same here. I gotta get up early. Got an early day tomorrow, so
I know I do too, as always.
Oh, I see. I see somebody picking up. Okay. The Azrael Batman. The which version is that? I keep forgetting that version. That's after the blue suit. When who did he kill?
For some reason, I can't even hear him. I can hear you though.
Oh, I can't hear you, Stu. We can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
This is Night's End. This is Night's End Batman.
I think I've seen that one.
Night's End Batman.
Yeah. Yeah, remember this is when John Paul Valley went crazy. Said
Mm.
didn't want to be called John Paul. Said I'm Batman. My name ain't John Paul Valley no more.
Okay,
It's
okay.
Batman. I'm just
I get 'em
straight
all.
Batman.
I get
Yeah,
them
and
all.
then Bruce had to had to talk him off the ledge.
Mm.
Yeah.
And remember he let somebody die. He killed somebody. Like it
Yeah,
was just a lot. Yeah, it was just a lot. So they had to come back. And
as
here is
hell was crazy. Oh, you got
yeah,
the version 1 Batman with the purple gloves.
yeah,
Oh shit.
yeah. And he even comes with a wrench. Don't know why he comes with a wrench, but he has
Yeah.
a wrench.
Detective Comics. Yeah,
Wish I could
man.
find that. Detective Comics number 27.
Yep.
The Holy Grail of Batman comics.
Yep.
And I got a torpedo
All right. All right. All right.
for $0.00.
That's
Ain't
what's
nothing
up.
wrong with
Take
that.
That's what's
it.
up.
It will take it. It will take it.
Yeah,
All right,
indeed.
fellas. Well, I don't know what happened to Reno. We've been rocking out for a while now. Anybody got
We're
anything
still
else
live.
before we
We're
pull out?
still live, everybody. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
we're
we're still
still.
alive. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just been enjoying the hell out of X-Men '97, man. Ain't no doubt. I think I've done watched episode 10 like 6 times already. Uh, I mean, just I knew, like I said, I knew Apocalypse was coming at some point, and I didn't think they died really. Like didn't think we realistically would even see him. I figured it would be like a
Yeah,
little
Reno's
light
calling
tease,
me.
but no, they came
Hang on,
out.
y'all. Reno's calling me now. Hang on.
They
Yeah.
came out,
No,
man.
keep talking. Keep talking. Keep talking.
Yeah, I was just like, damn, I just couldn't believe. And it
Yeah.
was weird to find out it was like two different voice actors too, but
But it still panned out to be a good show.
no, man, it's I couldn't find anything. There wasn't nothing I could pick on about it from
Mm.
beginning to end. I
Exactly.
was a little hesitant at first, naturally, because expectation and all that. Uh,
Mm.
how I was going into it.
Yeah. Slade,
Now,
we're trying to find that out. I'm sorry, bro.
I know you.
Yeah, we're trying to find that out. It's some technical difficulties.
Yeah,
We're squared up with a lot of the focus on the breakdown, but Daredevil, you keep going, bro. I mean,
oh yeah,
you know, but with the X-Men, man, we're gonna have a lot of good surprises, bro. We're gonna have a lot of
a
good
lot
stuff,
more.
and they already got season 2 in the can already, so it's like, okay, we just gotta wait till next year for it to drop. That's the only part.
And it makes me wonder, if they're going to utilize Bo DeMayo's, third season script,
Yeah,
being as he only was there until, for at least two,
2 episodes, right?
or 2 seasons. Yeah. So we'll see if they adopt his. I don't see why they wouldn't, because if they don't, they're going to fuck it all up. I mean,
Yeah, they're definitely gonna mess it up if they don't follow that template. Like,
yeah, because
mm,
it's this. You could just, I mean, like I said, you could tell when something's done with passion and purpose.
mm,
It's not just something they're just cutting a check on.
yeah,
Uh, everybody's getting their pockets
yeah,
full. So I mean, as long as they keep doing what they're doing, man, they can't. I
yeah,
can see it going for quite some time. I'm hoping I'm hoping it goes past 3 seasons.
yeah,
Truthfully, uh, because I know I'm well aware we got 5 seasons in the original. So I'd like to at least get 5. Uh,
yeah,
if at all possible. Well, I mean, like with almost anything, it's just everybody's got to watch it, and support it, and then
yeah,
speak your mind about it, and then it'll take care of it. Everything else will take care of itself.
yeah, indeed,
You
indeed.
know, I mean, animation takes time. I don't know what their turnaround time, from Disney animation to, versus, let's say, Powerhouse,
Mm,
because, Netflix is Master of the Universe and AKA Castlevania.
yeah,
Um, you know, and I know it takes at least 2.5 years to get the animation done for their, and that took them that for doing five. So,
Yeah.
uh,
But I mean, everything is more digital now, and I know they're using AI in certain situations, which I can see it plausible for animation. So it's like I think that's why it's already 2 seasons. They made sure that they had something to hold them over so they could write 2 more seasons while
right,
we're watching the second season. You know what
right.
I'm saying? So it's like I I think they got a good momentum, but as we said before, if they fuck up on the writing, it could be grand opening, grand closing.
Yeah, I mean, and it would be overnight, almost instantaneous, because it just as soon as you just like hitting the light switch.
Yeah.
So it's just cut it off and it'll be off for good. So, but for what we've got, I'm fairly impressed. I'm over the hilt, enjoying it like all you guys, the excitement, and everything that goes along with it, So
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time, rewatching episodes and obviously watching the original because I ain't never not stopped watching the original. I wouldn't watch it consistently all the time, but every so often I would throw it in and check it out.
Exactly.
So and you of course enjoy the Spider-Man series as well, and the Batman animated series.
Yeah, the Batman animated series, they need to bring that back like crazy.
And
Sick.
Kevin Conroy. I hated that because you just voiced Merman in the first
Yeah.
series of Kevin Smith, Master Universe, and I was like, damn, so I knew as soon as I heard that, I said, there ain't no way. But I'm aware that I think he did I think I want to say the last thing he did. What was it for that game at Reno? I did a show about the what was it? Suicide Squad, or I forgot the name of it,
Mm.
but yeah, it's like I said, I went out earlier and got a few books, and of course, I get paid this weekend. I'm gonna be going out and getting some more. I'm trying to get the first cable back, because I had the first cable and first Apocalypse, X Factor 6.
Mm.
Uh, so I just picked up X Factor 5 because I had that one as well, and I actually got lucky that I found that one. That was a newsstand, so that was a good thing. And I got like I said, the first Adversary. Uh, been getting some good. I mean, it's crazy, man. You would think these books would be worth more money,
Mm. Mm.
just for the sheer, you know, just how everything's presented. How they were done,
Mm.
art, story, editing. You and just everything about it. Lore, history wise.
Hold on for a second, bro.
I got
I'll be right. Well, I'm back with some news, everyone. We have to end it out because Reno has technical difficulties, and he wanted to end the show out. Something happened with, I guess, with the connection and stuff like that, where everything man made can have flaws. So
Oh yeah.
yeah. So to everybody who enjoyed the show, it's always a pleasure. It's always a great discussion, indeed, and giving you different perspectives on what we all enjoy. So, with that, we're gonna say peace, and until Saturday, you know, we'll be back with some flyness. And hold on, I got. All right, hold on. Oh, okay. But like I said, we'll be back Saturday. Stay tuned. We're gonna have some more stuff. You know, some more DC Power Hour. We're gonna have something on the DC front for you guys, and we'll talk about a lot of other things in between. So with that, peace out, be safe,
So,
and enjoy your comics. Peace.
so